get it done against the Blazers, and they did not get it done last night against the Spurs. So now the question is, what's next? Everybody asking, what's next? What's next for the Kings? So as I look at it, and Carmichael Dave, he essentially added a fourth avenue during crosstalk. But how I look at it is like this. These are the paths for the Kings. And 916-339-1140. If you hear a path that rings true to you that you want the Kings to do, call on in or text on in or Sac Chat on in on YouTube. Be a part of that community. It's growing every single day. So the number one option here is an OKC type full-blown blow-up where you move off of Sabonis, you move off of Fox, you move off of DeRozan, you get a King's ransom of picks and young assets. You probably stink, but hopefully you follow the OKC model and you're good in, 5 years, something like that. So that's the first model that I see. The second model would be a version of, or really the other two would be two versions of tweaking, right? The first version would be trading the young pieces where you would trade a Keegan Murray, a Devin Carter, get some ready now players, which to be honest, probably would require you to still move a Kevin Huerter or still move a Trey Lyles because of the money situation. These young dudes aren't making any money. But that would be another option. The third option, and this is just roster-wise, right? Carmichael Dave included non-roster moves, which we can talk about as well. The third option would be trading some of the big pieces. So that would be, hey, DeMar, didn't work out. Let's send you to a contender. Sabonis, thank you for your service. Let's send you to a contender. Hey, De'Aaron, we know you're thinking about getting the extension and you wanted to see how things would go. Not going great. Let's send you elsewhere and get a bunch of picks and then move forward with really the other two guys. So Anthony and I were talking in the pregame and in the pre-show and just trying to figure out what would make the most sense for the Kings. And then you have the non-roster moves, which would be moving off of Mike Brown and moving off moving off of Monty McNair. So the 916, someone is chiming in right now. They want number one. They want the full blow up. What scares me about the full blow up is, number one, it takes a very long time. And as Kings fans, you know how tough it is to go through those stretches, right? And number two, you also don't know when it's going to end. OKC, there have been plenty of models. Remember, trust the process. Did trust the process work? I don't know. If trust the process is get to the playoffs and be a threat, I guess it worked. But when I heard trust the process, I thought the Sixers were trying to win a championship.
Definitely. I think that's what everyone thought. And I think that's what they meant when Joel Embiid tweeted that in 2016 or whatever it was. I think that the goal is a championship. If you're going to rebuild, you have to think about, will my front office make moves that will actually make us better in a timely manner?
Yeah.
That's a really important thing. And you also have to think about what the value is of our current assets. And right now, we just don't know what that is. It's so early into a season. We've been talking about Keegan a lot, and we don't even know what Keegan's value is to other people because our front office clearly thinks Keegan is amazing. And rightly so. But it's about what the market sees. And it's the same thing with DeMar DeRozan. If you're going to get rid of DeMar DeRozan, who in 2024 wants DeMar DeRozan right now for as much as the Kings want DeMar DeRozan?
And what are you looking for? We were talking about, and we'll get into this, we're going to break down throughout the 11 o'clock hour each plan and what the best version of that plan would look like. But we played with DeMar DeRozan to the Magic because they need shooting, but do they want 3-point shooting? Right? Paolo Banchero gets back. He's he's been a stud, but you got Paolo, Franz. Hey, do you want to just score? They got KCP. Do they need DeMar DeRozan if they have KCP? So where these guys would fit, okay, the Heat and De'Aaron Fox, some of these guys some of these teams that have come up, what makes the most sense? Sabonis is probably the most confusing one because is somebody going to want Sabonis to come in and do what he's done on the Kings, or do they want a better version of Domantas Sabonis on the Pacers, where he wasn't the same? I do want to give a shout out to Rob Bishop on the Sac Chat, who is not really worried about the Kings. There's been a lot of chats, so I can't get through all of them, but essentially he is somebody out there that thinks the Kings can turn it around. There just needs to be some tweaking made, and you just got to hit the 3-ball more. So not everybody out there wants to blow the whole thing up. 916 says fire the GM first and foremost. So what would you do? What would you do after that? You fire the GM this season. You're going to bring in another GM, and then that GM is going to want to stand pat during this season, or is that GM going to come in and clean house? Right? That's what I'm curious about. You move off of Monty McNair right now. You're going to bring in another GM or promote someone in-house, and then they're going to blow everything up. I don't know about that. Or on the other side, do you trust Monty McNair to make any more moves? That's the tough thing about firing Monty McNair right now, because you got to give the other person some grace, and I don't think the Kings have time for that. Torrance York on the Sac Chat says, it's been 21 games. They are 3 games under with 61 games remaining, and people are in full-blown panic mode. Monty needs to get some length and size on this team. It's still too early to blow up. So here's my issue with that, Torrance York, and I'm not saying to blow it up. My issue is your last statement. Monty needs to get some length and size on this team. It's still too early to blow up. That's kind of an oxymoron, because I'm not really sure how you get the length and size. Like we said, we just saw they got Jay Crowder. So what are you willing to give up that doesn't blow it up? And do not say Kevin Huerter and Trey Lyles, because at the same time, fine. That's the new Toyota Corolla package. Kevin Huerter, Trey Lyles, you're not getting back what you need. You're not getting back the length and size on the team that I know that you think the Kings need. That is the issue with this situation. That's the issue. You can say don't blow it up and then say we need to add some length and size. I don't know how they do that unless you're okay with Keegan Murray being moved. Is that it? Because that's where conversation is going to start. The Kings do not have a lot of assets, and everybody knows that. There's no secrets in the NBA. Ashley wants to be a part of the conversation, 916-339-1140. If you want to be part of the conversation. What's up, Ashley? How you feeling? What you got for us?
Well, I'm a little disappointed because I feel like a lot of times we look really good to start games or to end games, but we can't put it together for the full game.
Mm-hmm.
I was really, really, really liking what I saw in the first half. The second half, not so much. As far as what I think needs to be done with this team, I don't think it's time to blow it up, but I do think that we do need to make some adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, how we go about that, though, I really, really am unsure. I think we need to add some more three-point shooting, and I think that we could use a little bit more length if possible, but I know it's really hard to get that. I don't see a way that we're going to get it, but I think if we could add at least one of those two elements, we could still make a run into the postseason.
Thanks for the call, Ashley. Great stuff as always. Yeah, the bottom line is the Kings, there are moves that they can make. It's really a matter. My issue is they almost feel like they have too many problems to solve. They have a length issue. They have a bench issue. And you're not going to be able to solve all of it. So you almost need to prioritize the issues. What is the biggest issue on the Kings right now? And that would be my question to you as well, 916-339-1140. What is the biggest issue on the Kings right now? What's the one thing they need to solve? Because size, length, cool. Is one more person going to solve that? Because that's probably all they're going to be able to get. Real quick update on what Torrance had to say on the Sac Chat. He said he's definitely okay with packaging Keegan and Kevin Huerter and some picks for length and size. Okay, so Torrance is, I would say that is in the number two. That is a number 2 option. Trade the young pieces to tweak the roster a little bit. So we got a couple people talking about a full blow up, a couple people talking about trading the young pieces. and no one yet. Well, we always have somebody willing to trade the big pieces, and most of the time it's De'Aaron Fox. Real quick on what Ashley said, though, just about the game last night, I felt the same way. I mean, they came out shot out of a cannon, right? And you had Malik, and the vibes are always so great. So, and then they just go completely left. They go completely left. So I think they were left over from one of the events that our other stations did, but in the garage downstairs, there were a bunch of monsters. Okay, so I got my hands on a couple sugar-free monsters, and you can hear me right now. Me off of monsters, kind of crazy. And my wife, you know, I'm putting them in the, I put them in the closet, and they're from emergencies only. And baby Styles was freaking out, you know, and it's a long, somebody said that Saturday after Thanksgiving was the most Sundayest Saturday ever, and I agree. It just felt weird. But baby Styles was just not feeling it. She's off the wall. She's crying. So I looked and I said, I got to hit the red button. I go to that monster, and I'm feeling good for about 45 minutes, and then the crash starts happening. And it feels like the Kings, all of them drink a monster before every game, and the first quarter looks completely different than the rest of the game. They're on this high. You got Scott Moak doing his thing. You got Fresh Hour doing his thing. Slamson's running around because they got rid of Royale. Everybody's feeling good. The dancers hitting it. They're hitting it. And then the second, third quarter comes around, and once people are going to get their popcorn and hot dog, whatever it is, the Kings are looking around thinking, hey, where'd y'all go? We need you. No, you need to keep us going. We got to sit down at some point. We have to. And there's still people around the NBA when they go to games. I see the media section. I was in the media section last week, and they said, man, it was with the Nets. Man, this is a great environment. And the Kings, they do not know how to harness it. The fans are loud all day, every single game, all game long. And as soon as it dies down a little bit, or the Kings stop missing shots, they can't generate anything on their own. They're like that dude. Who's the guy from X-Men? He can't create fire. He can only harness it. That's what the Kings are. They cannot create their own energy. They need the fan base. And if for 1 second the fans are just kind of chilling, or they've been quiet because you've been trash, they can't do it. All right, let's break down the full-blown blow-up on the other side. And we got calls coming in, texts coming in as well. Allen Stiles, Sactown Sports.
The only place you'll find Malik